All right. Well, hey, welcome to another episode of Talking Ship with Jonathan Shipley. My guest this evening is Pat Ryan. Hey, welcome, Pat. Now, I first got introduced to you, I believe it was at Shameless a while back.
Yeah, sounds about right.
That's about when I started, and I remember laughing my ass off at your stand-up. So I'm really happy to have you here now.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
So let me ask you this: how long have you been doing comedy?
I did my first open mic about 5 years ago in July, so roughly 5 years.
Oh wow! So you're more seasoned than a lot of people around here. Uh, that's cool. What made you want to get into it?
Well, when I was in high school, I would just watch Comedy Central a lot, and I was like, so I've always watched Patton Oswalt have a special, like Norm Macdonald had a special. They aired like George Carlin and all that. It's like, okay, I kind of want to do that. And then I tried to write my own jokes in high school, which was just mostly me making fun of my friends, because that's all I really did. And then 5 years ago, I was hanging out with one of my friends, and we went over to the Heavy Anchor, and they were doing an open mic night that my now ex-best friend happened to be on the list for. And then I talked to Chad Wallace, who is the host of the Comedy Shipwreck open mic.
Great guy.
Oh yeah, but one of my biggest comedy mentor in the scene. And I just asked, "Hey, is there a way I can get on the list?" He's like, "All right, sure, you're gonna be last."
I really like the Heavy Anchor as a venue, mainly because with a lot of them nowadays, like if you're trying to do Helium, you're trying to do Funny Bone or one of the bigger ones, it's kind of a lottery as to whether or not you get on. But if you go to like a place like Apotheosis or like Heavy Anchor, they're pretty, they're pretty giving as far as how many people they'll let on. And it's good to know that if you're going to invest the time into making a set and going out, that you're actually going to get a chance to perform.
Oh yeah, especially because I run the open mic at Apotheosis, so I do try to make sure everyone who shows up gets a chance to go on.
So funny enough, I've done Apotheosis, and it was the one time you weren't there.
Yeah. There's been a couple of times where I wasn't there just because of being booked on other shows.
Fair enough, it happens. So what are you keeping yourself busy with now that we're all stuck inside with this coronavirus?
One of the major things I've actually been doing since being in quarantine is I've been doing a lot of drawing, because I was never very good in school, but then I was at Target picking up some supplies. I was like, oh, there's a sketchbook. All right, you know what? I'll try drawing again, and I've actually learned if I actually take my time, I can draw something decent.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's always good to work on your skills and find something that you enjoy, especially at a time like this where you can be driving yourself crazy with just being isolated.
Oh yeah.
So, I know that one of the things that you've brought up in a lot of your stand-up is that you are asexual, and I know that especially since I've done comedy at Shameless, you get to meet other comics from all walks of life. Have you come across any other comics who are openly asexual?
Teal Pierce is also openly asexual. And Teal Pierce is
actually helped me come up with a name for this show.
Yeah, I know. I was talking with him the other night on a Zoom chat with him, me, Hillary Anger, Danny Lydia, Lisa Andrus, and Jason Dormeyer. Because I mentioned I was talking with you tonight. He's like, yeah, I helped him come up with the name of the podcast.
And Lisa was my first episode. I ended up having to miss the open mic she was doing because it just I've had a lot of deadlines with this. So, just trying to get everything up. By the time I say it's going to be up.
Oh, yeah. It's like Teal and I did the very last one before it ended up getting canceled. So that was the only one I was able to make it to after it got moved over all the way out to Backdoor.
Do you think Backdoor is going to survive this as far as not getting that business?
I hope so because even though I've only been there a couple of times, it's a venue that I very much enjoy, and it's like because their open mic is the same night as my open mic. So Michael Tobin, who's the owner of the club, and we have a friendly rivalry. Like we both respect each other because I do try to make it out there when I can, even though I've been there twice for open mics. But I'm definitely gonna go out there for shows after everything gets opened back up.
Well, I know that with Backdoor, I tried to make that kind of like my home venue for the longest time. I've done open mic there like 5 or 6 times, and the problem was they stopped doing it on Tuesday nights. I think there was a falling out there among some people, and I guess there wasn't enough of a draw for to do it there. So I was stuck looking at other venues, and man, Apotheosis, that is a great venue. Like I love the nerdy chic of it all. Like I love doing a stand up in front of a Captain America shield. It's pretty great, and the guys there, top notch.
Oh yeah, it's like Martin Casas, who owns the store. He has always been trying to make it not just a comic book shop, but also just like a venue for the arts, because they do a music open mic. Comedy's there 2 nights a week, and month or two before everything shut down, he opened up the upstairs to be an art gallery, which is nice because a couple of the workers there, Ori and Andy, are both artists. Andy was the one who painted that mural that's on the wall that we do stand up in front of.
I will say, as far as the venue goes, typically if you have to stop and use the restroom, before your set or whatnot, you're greeted by not the friendliest bathroom graffiti, but sweet Jesus, that place has some very cheerful, chibi bathroom artwork going on. So it's got that going for it, definitely.
Oh yeah, I've left my mark on the bathroom there, because right by the toilet it says "Good Burger is the best movie ever." Pat Ryan. I left my mark.
I'm not going to argue that with you. I do love Kenan and Kel.
Oh yeah, that was my jam in the '90s on Nickelodeon.
It's funny. I can't recall a lot of the what I learned in high school physics, but I can sure as hell remember that Mono Burger is the villain of Good Burger. You know, just fun little things you fill your brain up with. So. One of my previous episodes, I was discussing with one of my friends, Anthony, who is kind of wary of getting back into comedy. And he says that he feels that the St. Louis scene is slightly competitive, and that's kind of a turnoff for him. Do you feel the same way? Because I don't necessarily share that opinion with him, but I know that you're more seasoned, so...
It's like I feel a little slight competitiveness with some people, but it's more of like, we got 3 clubs now, so it's like everyone wants to get on the list there, so we can eventually all get hosting gigs. And so it's just more like we're all competing with each other because we all want to get booked so we can make audiences laugh. So
no, I mean, I get that. Like, everyone wants to do that next step up. Everyone wants to be part of a paying show. And I feel like that's part of what might be kind of deterring him from pursuing this, is that, if you're not willing to put yourself out there and take those steps and, go to a bunch of open mic nights and, get your chops, then you're not gonna do that next step, and you're not gonna progress. One thing I was discussing with Lisa that I think is kind of an interesting kind of bit of topic for comics is where the line is. I know that a lot of comics, edgy comics and whatnot, air quotes, that they will go towards edgier material that others might deem kind of off limits. Do you have a line that you draw? Is there certain jokes that you just won't touch?
I mean, there are certain topics that I won't touch. Mostly not because I think it's too like sensitive or anything. It's just more of like I don't think I have a personal spin that can make this topic funny. Topics of like abortion or a lot of sexuality or like doing drugs. Just because I've never really been a part of that kind of culture, so I have no like input or viewpoint. So like a joke from me on that would probably not really work well. Whereas topics like dealing like with mental health or sexuality, I deal with those, so I know how to actually like kind of spin them in my way to help make them funny.
No, that's fair. When you're going to a new venue, and we have actually a decent amount of venues out here in St. Louis, but when you're going to a new venue, do you gauge the crowd, or do you just kind of have your prepared set and go forward with that and, kind of hope for the best?
Yeah, I try to gauge the crowd when I can. A lot of the time it's just more like, okay, I've got the set figured out. If the crowd's not really laughing at the other comics, I'm like, you know what, screw it, I'm going with what I got. But if I see like they're laughing at like some aspects of the joke, but not laughing at other aspects, I'll see what I can tweak before I go on. But a lot of the time it's just more like, you know what, go big or go home.
Yeah, I mean, you put your best foot forward, just go with it. Have you had a lot of bad experience with heckling here?
No, not really. I do have a couple stories. One time at the Heavy Anchor, I was doing a joke, and this one guy was talking to his girlfriend right like in the second row, and I was like, "Hey, you in the second row, you mind shutting up while I finish my set?" And then he was quiet, and then he ended up being the next comic on the list. And then he's like, well, my girlfriend was saying how cute you looked. I guess you fucked that up. Got no reaction from the audience.
No, I don't typically. I mean, I make some jokes that are maybe sexual in nature, but I've never said anything that's really crossing line or what I would deem offensive. But I got a reaction like that the other night. I was running some material past my fiance, and a joke that I didn't expect to be offensive was deemed offensive. I was doing a little self-deprecating humor, and I can never grow a full beard if I tried. And I said, like, oh, well, it's kind of like if you decided to draw a picture of a homeless man and just stopped halfway through.
No, I think it's funny.
I thought it was funny, but,
Well, it's like sometimes gauging jokes on your family or your significant others is not the greatest idea because they may not necessarily share your sense of humor, but granted, the circumstances of everything going on right now, I can see why you're testing jokes on your fiance.
Exactly. I mean, we don't really have all that many outlets currently. It's a lot of Zoom and a whole lot of nothing.
Yep.
But that's a perfect segue here. One thing that I like to do for all the comics that come on is I like to give you guys a chance to kind of showcase some of your favorite material. Because this is going to be tied to your name. No pressure.
Yep.
A lot of pressure. But so what is some of your favorite material?
Some of my favorite material. One joke that's definitely been like my standard opener for about the last year is, I have obsessive compulsive disorder or OCD. I don't care what you call it. I still don't like the fact that it's not in alphabetical order. And I have 3 rules I'd like you all to follow when dealing with me. 1, don't touch me. 2, don't fucking touch me. 3, all lists must be in 3s.
That's good.
Yeah, the JC Sabala called that my best OCD joke, and most original sounding one I've written.
I like that. I noticed a lot of the comics that in this area, we all kind of, well, a lot of them post jokes to Facebook, and it's you and Teal kind of back and forth on my feed, doing a lot of one-liners and puns, and yeah, I dig it all.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like up until like towards the end of 2018, my sets were like 99% puns because that was what I was really able to write and tell. And then I just started working with Chad and some other comics like Corey Stewart, Tree Sanchez. We like meet up at Mocha Bee's coffee shop down in South St. Louis City. So, and we actually work on stuff because I was like, I need to get past doing just puns.
I keep a notebook with me that I'm with my work. I'm stuck doing 12-hour shifts in front of a computer, and will jot down a quick joke then here or there if it comes to mind, and to work out at a later date. But what is this is one thing that Anthony brought up. He's kind of pursuing writing more, but what is the writing process kind of look for you? Do you just kind of, come up with a joke and run with it, or do you just kind of critique it over and over until it fits right?
Depending on the type of joke, like if it's kind of a little more story formed, I do like sit down and write it and then, kind of workshop it at the mics. But if it's something like a one-liner, I'll just, jot it down and then try it at the mics and then be like, okay, I can switch a word up here. So like one-liners are easier for me to write than full-blown like story-based jokes, partially because of my short attention span. So,
I know that when I was starting out, like very beginning, I tried to link all my little bits together. Yeah, that died really quickly. It just does not work.
It's like when you're starting out, just try to be funny. Be funny first, then cohesive second.
Words to live by. So, we can end on that. Where can people find you online?
So I am on Instagram at Breaking Pat. It's not all comedy based. It's like comedy, mental health, asexuality, all that stuff together because I didn't feel like making separate pages. I'm on Facebook at Pat Ryan. That's my normal page, and I've also got a page called Wise and Cracked, which is a vaudeville comedy duo that Teal Pierce and I do for a show called the Saturday Evening Cabaret at the Improv Shop. And then I am on Twitter at Pat_the_punster, which I started using again because I have nothing else to do during the day. It's just
Back
me.
to the puns.
Yeah, it's just me posting puns and then basically critiquing set puns about how stupid they are.
So, and before we leave, I want to plug your open mic. You guys that you have at Apotheosis.
Yeah, Apotheosis Comics on South Grand in St. Louis City. Once we get back up and running, Thursday nights at 8 o'clock. Sign up is at 7:30. Everyone gets 5 minutes. There's no real line of good taste. If you think it's funny, go for it. I will tell you later on. Yeah, don't try that one here again.
Well, hey man, I really appreciate you doing this for me, coming on. This is meant as a project for my master's degree, but I'm having a lot of good conversation with it, and I think I'm gonna probably keep it going for a while. So hey, if you ever feel like coming on again, I'd be more than happy to have you.
Oh, of course.
All right. Well, hey, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
You too, man.